to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a couple of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like bacon, steaks, and cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo and Sheil in the cut, kicking it cooler than two penguins. Still Bo's old arch nemesis. Greg Cosell shows up and it gets real. Pull up a branch and chill. It's time to get ill with some Birds with Friends. The early bird skips the worm and prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Bo Wolf and Sheil are coming at you with stats and things flapping their wings.
The Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
I'm gonna get drunk.
Where them beers? All bottles on Mr. Lurie tonight. Damn, that's gonna make me throw up.
What was it like to have Bradley Cooper in the booth?
We the best. No one could have got me a Caprice.
Where's the ball security? Touchdown Tom. Loser. Nick Foles never lost a Super Bowl.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a live Birds with Friends from Radio Row at the NFL Scouting Combine in beautiful Indianapolis. Bo Wolf, Sheil Kapadia, Owen Hart over here, Zach Berman in the blue blazer. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Excited for this pod. It brings on something more when we're in person together for it. Although I've never done it without the screen in front of me, so I don't know. I don't know.
We can't see the comments. So for the sickos in the chat.
Also, where am I looking? Is that the camera? Okay.
Why can't you see
the comments? You have a computer right there.
I guess I could pull it up. Yeah, why not?
That would seem like something a host would want to do.
He towers it so it's in front of him.
A host should do. Yeah, I think that would be good.
Wow, it's interesting. They're all saying that Sheil stinks.
How would you rate my head size, 1 to 10? 10 being the largest.
10 being the large. Yeah. 10 being like the
big head,
the disgraced NFL Hall of Fame guy.
I don't know,
Mr. David Baker.
Yeah. Is he disgraced?
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, he was a disgraced political
all right.
politician.
Get the answer to the question.
If he's a 10, I would say, I don't know. You have a very normal sized head.
Okay.
I feel like
I thought so too. I went to put
5.
this on, and I kept going smaller. I feel like I'm in the smallest setting to get this thing to fit.
Well, what you don't understand is that this is where they had the athletic football show earlier, and Robert Mays was interviewing David Baker.
Okay. Doug Peterson walking around. We got Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Pete Carroll.
You're wearing your Seahawks colors.
I think we need to start with something else, though.
What? You got a knock on somebody?
No, the Bo Wolf Starbucks article that's taking over Indianapolis right now. You can't walk through the convention center without like this. I'm flattered that after 3 years now, I'm associated with. But like, if Bo writes something good, it's like someone tells me, right? But if you haven't checked it out, make sure you read Bo's running diary of the JW Marriott Starbucks. This is an idea that Bo's talked about for a few years now, correct?
That's true, yeah. Had it in my mind.
And I will sing his praises here because it's hard to be funny. It's harder to write funny, and Bo's able to write funny. So some great lines.
Well, I mean, please tell me who are the people who have come up to you and over the course of the day and mentioned the article to you?
There's multiple people, but I don't believe it was on the record, right? So
did they say off the record?
I think it was understood.
I don't know.
I'm taking some heat on that article, for my little sarcastic line. Who is this for? And now you got wives of GM saying this is for me. Listen, it was said in jest.
Wives of GMs.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Les Needs Super Bowl winning GMs. Yeah.
Look at that.
Retweeting that, thanking Bo for bringing them back to Indianapolis with his descriptive writing.
So, I mean, Les Snead. The invitation's open. Come on, Birds with Friends.
He could be the official NFC West GM of Birds with Friends, I think.
I have no issue with that.
Okay. John Schneider might.
Well, John Schneider, come on, Birds with Friends.
John Lynch?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be John Lynch.
I don't think Lynch and Kime.
I don't think it's going to. Yeah, Lynch and Kime, I feel like.
It's a two-man race. Yeah. If you're over there somewhere, I apologize.
John Lynch.
Right.
Yeah, my favorite thing of all time is that thing I linked to in the piece on John Lynch.
Oh, why no embed there? I thought that could have been an embed.
Yeah, it could have been an embed.
Yeah.
Could have been an embed. We should have linked to Lindsey Jones's daughter's Girl Scout cookie page.
Okay.
Another missed opportunity. So,
tease the readers here. What's your favorite joke?
You stink, readers.
What's your favorite joke in the piece?
Cut this off.
What's my favorite joke in the piece? I don't know. I mean, they're like your jokes are like your children.
Listen, there's no favorite. Just go read the piece. It's a fun piece.
Yeah,
it's not. It's maybe the shortest thing you've ever written. I mean, it's
No,
like under
that's
it's under 3,000 words, I would say. And so you can go ahead and read that from start to finish. It was very good. At athletic.com/birds with friends, of course, if you don't subscribe.
Yes,
the
that's right.
shortest thing he ever wrote, of course, was when Rick Lovato got a contract extension.
Yeah.
That is true.
That
That is true.
Right. So second shortest. All right. What was the most interesting thing you heard? I'm just going to hijack it here.
Well, yeah, we both Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni talked publicly today for the first time since after the season. We were all there, although you were
I missed the first
flirting
7
with
minutes.
Pete Carroll for a little bit, so
Yeah.
you couldn't be there for all of Howie.
It was a much better use of my time.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we'll talk about it, but I would say, generally speaking, devoid of interesting things.
My question was, what was the most interesting thing?
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
If I can.
Zach finds everything
Jump.
interesting, so this should be good.
Well,
I find nothing interesting.
So they doubled down on their Jalen Hurts support. If you thought they were going to take today to walk back what they said at the end of the season, right? Yeah, they've had a few weeks here. Potentially were able to explore the options, know what the asking prices might be. They obviously saw quarterbacks in the postseason perform at a high level. If you thought all that information was going to mean that they would kind of couch the Jalen Hurts support or leave more of the door open, they didn't do that. They actually, I think they pushed the chips in the table a little bit more. Now, that doesn't mean that they still can't make a trade. But like we've said on the podcast, the easiest thing for them to do would be, well, we didn't know that Russell Wilson was going to be available. I do think they're operating as if Jalen Hurts is going to be their quarterback. That's the most likely outcome. I think they believe that there's still more for Jalen Hurts to reach and that he has what it takes to reach it. So we shall see.
Well, I mean, we talked about it the other day that like there was an opening for them to say like, we love Jalen, we think he's going to be our starter, but it is my job to like survey the landscape, and they didn't do that. And as we talked about, like this is you have to take what they say here not as what they're saying, but as why are they saying it this way, because it is so prepared. Like they're just putting this out there for a reason. So what is the reason for them to double down on that? Either it's true, or like they just don't want there to be speculation, because if he's going to be the guy, they don't want there to be, even if they would like to replace him, they don't want there to be like this chatter that they're trying to replace him.
That, in my opinion, is what it is. I put very little stock into it. I think Zach is right that it may be the most likely outcome. That doesn't mean I think it is going to be the outcome.
How many turkeys would you put on it out of 100? That's what I was asked yesterday.
Well, I don't know, because in my bold predictions for the offseason, I said they're going to make a move at quarterback. So I'm probably less than you. I mean, looking at it right now, I would say that he's going to be the starter, or that it's going to be him and Minshew, and like they don't draft
that Jalen Hurts is the starter.
Just that he's the
2022.
So if they draft Malik Willis in the first round, that still counts.
No, that doesn't count. I don't think that counts.
You just said
if they draft the first round quarterback, there's a competition.
First round, that doesn't count.
Yeah, there's a competition.
That they are
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I would say 60%.
60 turkeys is what I said.
Okay, yeah.
Look, I think a big point of difference,
like a Ben Simmons, or
like a big point. I see what you're doing there. Is that you hear the Denver GM and the Washington coach, and you go, I didn't hear the Washington GM today, but publicly say we need to upgrade at this position, right? The Eagles aren't saying we need to upgrade.
They're in a better
position.
position.
But come on, it's completely different situation. This is a totally different situation. Those guys have
Right.
nobody.
Well, but I'm saying they're not putting it out there that they're in the market for a quarterback.
Right.
They are putting it out there that they have their quarterback. That doesn't mean that it's set in stone.
Right.
But they are operating as if Jalen Hurts is their quarterback this year.
Well, it's very simple to me. I think that there's no benefit to them opening up the can of worms. I mean, they know the market they're in.
Yeah.
They know if all they said was, we love Jalen. Jalen's our guy, but it's our job, like you said, to do more.
Right.
I mean, then that would easily be the headline on everyone's story. That would be on WIP right away tomorrow. Everything. There's no benefit to doing that. You're trying to have a strong relationship with the player. In Jalen Hurts, he's a well-liked guy in the locker room, and so there's no benefit to doing that. Now, I still believe that They will look. They will pounce on an opportunity if they see one. I thought their explanations were interesting, specifically Nick Sirianni outlining the four. It was a pretty good. That was a pretty good answer, outlining the 4 things he looks for in a quarterback, and specifically where Jalen Hurts is in each of those: accuracy, decision making, being able to create. What was the last one?
Like just passing the baseline of arm strength, which he says is like the least important of the 4.
Yes, which that could be. I guess he does pass the baseline of it, but certainly that is not a strength of his.
But I think, as we've talked about it, it's a decision making problem to me, not an arm strength issue.
No, I think it's both. I disagree with that.
Okay.
Well, I think internally they think the arm is what it needs to be.
Okay. Well,
do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's right.
To go into Bo's best friend, the film would sometimes suggest otherwise. I mean, look at some.
Well, but that's the thing. Well, that's the thing is that if he had supernatural arm strength, he could be later on decisions, right? Like it's all.
Yeah, I would say
he has to find a way
I would say
to overcome what is average arm strength, basically.
He is below average arm strength, I would say. Then the decision making was the other one that Sirianni, it was decision making and accuracy were the 2 that he said that's what he needs to work on. That's what he needs to get better with. And
those are things in their mind that are only going to improve over time with reps and reps and reps and reps, which that is true. But
maybe
at the same time,
accuracy, that's not always true.
Well, that's fair. But do they have how much time do they have?
Yeah.
And I think one of the party lines from the Eagles right now is that they believe in Jalen Hurts because they think that he is wired to get he is going to hit his ceiling, whatever his ceiling is.
And that's the question. What's the ceiling?
He's a football guy.
Yeah.
He's that's all he does. It's all he loves. It's all he thinks about. He's going to make sure that he is as good as he can be. And that, that maybe is true, but sometimes that's not enough.
That's my stock response whenever I've been asked about Hurts this week. It's like they love everything about him except the throwing the football part, which is
the thing that matters the most.
Right? So
that one got Ken. Ken's done that 400 podcasts today, and even that one he was like, "Wait, what?"
So they think they think there's ways. They think he can improve there, and I think Bo put it well.
We love Sheil. We think he's a great guy, but the guy can't write.
Well, I might agree with that. I think that would be a fair assessment.
No, so
to be quite honest.
So I think that what Bo said is the correct description. They think whatever that ceiling is, he's going to hit it because he's made from the right stuff. He works really hard. He has all the intangibles that you want. The question is, what is that? Is that ceiling someone who can win you games in late January and February? And I'm skeptical. I don't know if they are skeptical or not. I also think that they don't think this is like the end all be all decision, right? That they can use the picks and use their resources to build the roster around the quarterback.
Right.
And if it turns out this year, if Jalen's the quarterback and it turns out that he's not what they hope he's going to be, then they have the roster around to put a quarterback in. So we'll see.
Well, we have had this discussion, I think, amongst ourselves, but fully committing to Jalen Hurts, looks a little bit different than just continuing the path that they have, right? You would build the offense out in a slightly different way. You would go even heavier into the quarterback inclusive, part of the running game. You would probably I would think you would find a backup quarterback who complements him better, who could keep that offense going. Yeah. I think you would maybe look for slightly different personnel. Okay, well that's fine.
Minshew is fine.
Yeah, Minshew's fine, but I think it fully committing to him looks different than we're giving him another chance in offense, and it's really we're building the roster for a quarterback to be determined.
Yeah, I think I think the most likely outcome, like you said, is you buy a year. I mean, Zach put it perfectly.
Right.
You buy a year if he's the guy. Next year, if he plays really well and makes those strides you want to see, then that's a great outcome. If he doesn't, but I don't know. I mean, the reason I think that they're not going to be that patient, who's to say next year's offseason could look like this year's offseason?
Right.
Maybe there's not the quarterback. And if there is, teams aren't just oh, yeah, I love, Bryce Young come out next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Bryce Young. I have the number one
Philly
pick.
guy.
But yeah, send me 3 picks and I'll move down. No, I mean, if there's the Joe Burrow, if there's that guy, the team usually just sits there and takes him. They're not going to be bad enough, I don't think, to be in like the top 5 next year. They're probably going to be somewhere in the middle of the NFL, between 7-10 and 9-8. And then it's still another tough to say. I mean, who knows? I guess, you know what? I mean, if they do love the Russell Wilson option, I feel like that may be more likely next offseason than this offseason.
I was going to ask you that because you would know better than us, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, is Wilson a realistic option here? Because if he's not a realistic option, unless they were in the Deshaun Watson market, I don't see where else they would turn.
Yeah, I would say.
I don't think I would not rule out Deshaun Watson. I mean, I don't like the speculation game with him, but it feels like to me like they're still keeping their eye on that.
Yeah,
situation.
I mean, Howie was asked about Watson in the press conference. Now I know you don't talk about it, but like that's one where I feel like if you wanted to just shut it down, and that would be pretty easy. You could just shut it down, and you don't have to answer any more questions about it. If you've already ruled it out and there's no chance you're even thinking about that anymore, then you could go ahead and say that. And they haven't done that so far. My feeling on after we've been here in Indy for a few days on Russell Wilson is that the most likely outcome is that he is not traded. They run it back for another year. And then next year, I mean, if they're not good this year, then they're probably going to face a whole offseason of change next offseason. And just the way his contract is set up, he would be entering the final year of his deal. So you trade him, he can sign, the big extension with his new team. You can still get draft capital in return. You might make other changes as well. Now, it's still the never say never phase. Like, I mean, who knows? It's still early, and maybe there will be a Godfather offer, but just my understanding is that they're in a spot where they feel like they can win games next year. They're not going to be forced into trading him this year. He's not going to twist their arm. He's not that dissatisfied where he's going to be like, doing something crazy. Even then, you don't have a lot of agency as a play. He's under contract for the next 2 years. So unless he's going to be like, I'm willing to miss game checks or whatever, it would be a whole lot of drama without anything happening. And so I don't see it making sense from their perspective as an organization. But next offseason could be a totally different story. So maybe that's part of the calculus, the math, the arithmetic, trigonometry. What's the go-to?
I think the calculus.
Bo's too busy.
I'm looking for the
waving at people.
the
So popular.
fans watching. The fans
Signing
are going
autographs.
to get a chance to
Starbucks
watch
author
Teron
guy?
Davenport walk by. That's really the Eagles fans.
Love it, Teron Davenport.
How could you not?
Big
John
time.
Robinson called him T today in the press conference. Yeah, it's a good
Not
question.
TD?
It's a good question, T.
Oh, T. Okay.
Yeah.
Zach got a Zach from Howie today.
Huh. I couldn't get in a Howie question. I showed up late, and then it was, man, that I have to say the Eagles presser is different than every other team. And I know we've joked about this before, but like I've sat on a lot of these over the last 2 days. New York is not like it. I mean, there's pauses. Like, who was it? Cleveland. I mean, there's like these 3-second pauses in between questions where I'm like, all right, I'll fire one at you, Stefanski, but it's just like, I mean, Eagles, the guys aren't even finished their responses. 4 people are yelling. They're uncomfortable, but
I got 3 times as many questions in the Doug Peterson as I did Nick Sirianni.
Oh, yeah, Doug, it was not hard. Even though we were all there for Doug,
it
was not as hard. I wanted to ask Howie, and maybe, you guys might have insight into this with having spent a couple days here. Does he feel like this type of offense that they ran in the second half of last season is sustainable,
right,
to the point where you can contend for championships over multiple years running this type of offense? How do you? Well, never mind. We're going to do our press conference segment later, right?
Yes.
Save it for that.
Okay.
I will lead with that question.
Okay.
You can chew on it.
Zach's going to be not Howie, but a pretend general manager with Howie's track record of moves. The current Eagles general manager.
Okay, but I'm answering.
Don't overcomplicate.
I'm answering
me.
Me.
Howie, but he's answering it how he thinks.
How he would.
If he were Howie's right hand man, saying Howie, here's how he was in Howie's ear. He's got the headset on, and then Howie, repeat after me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we won't do that just yet. Let's finish talking about what they actually did say. There wasn't. I mean, again, not a ton of interesting stuff. Some like just notes that we should get off there. Jason Kelce, Sirianni was asked about. He said no decision yet. The keg arrived yesterday. Now, I thought he sent the keg like a month ago.
I agree.
What is this nonsense?
Yeah, I was actually curious about that. And I don't know if that was like, if that's big enough to like follow up about. But
I mean, he's either a liar
or he sent another cake,
or
right?
he's like me and he just does things months later.
But he even told us where he sent the cake from.
Gave a real pop to whatever that
the
was.
Lower
like
Marion Beverage Company.
Or something
Yeah,
like
Not
that.
a pop. Woo.
Big time pop.
Hopefully other Eagle sponsors.
Speaking of big time pop, Daniel Popper walking around.
Yeah, that's true.
So Kelsey, still no decision. Again, I think the need to replace him is overstated, but that's a conversation for another day. Replacing Ian Cunningham and Brandon Brown, Howie basically said they're not going to make a move until after the draft process plays itself out, right?
Yes, and he wants the league to look into this.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Did he mean like the Eagles or did he mean the league?
No, the league.
You think he thinks the league needs to make a change?
Yes, I think he thinks
that is like whiny.
I think he thinks that I mean I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
But my guess would be.
Can you explain who those people
yes,
are?
Okay. So
sure.
Ian Cunningham and Brandon Brown,
fair enough.
Both of whom were directors of player personnel, so they weren't vice presidents, but they were directors, and they had the same title and they overlapped in terms of the pro scouting and the college scouting. So big members of the scouting staff were hired as assistant GMs elsewhere. Cunningham in Chicago, Brown with the New York Giants, and the Eagles made repeated mentions of it being a rival team, right? And I think the issue that Howie has is the timing. If you're not hiring a GM, you would typically want these moves to occur after the draft. And the reason being because they've had meetings, leading before these guys left.
Right.
As
he said, they know what I know what they think, but they also sort of know what I think, which is not great.
Yes. And so it's different when you're hired to be a GM, but maybe for number twos, you often see that come after the draft. For instance, the Eagles hired Joe Douglas after the draft in 2016. And that's when you often see scouts and front office changes at the non-GM level. Now,
I don't know, man.
You don't want to deny something.
These people are working for you. Just be happy for them.
Yeah. So,
good life. That's a good life advice.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
You're going to be fine.
Yes. So
it's not a big deal if they know you prefer one quarterback to another.
Also,
it doesn't really matter.
By the way,
just be happy for them.
As was reported in The Athletic last year, I don't know that everybody in the organization knows Howie's preferences for every.
Right.
I
mean, that's a good point.
That pretty, unless it's Jeffrey Lurie going to be an assistant GM.
Well, that's actually, it's interesting. That's if I can pull up the exact quote, because he did sort of couch it. He said it something like I know what they think and they know a little bit about what I think.
Yeah, I don't think they know a lot, especially at this point. I mean, how much do they know about what you think? Your
I don't
job
know how much
is to collaborate between analytics, coaching, ownership, and the personnel staff. So I don't think he's gonna. I mean, maybe there's a little note here and there, but
he said we had all the reports, so we know what they think. They may know a little bit about what I think too, which isn't great. So yeah,
it's kind of like just as much of an edge for you to. I mean, if you think those guys have influence, I don't know.
So just be happy.
Doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
I don't know.
I think Brandon Bean, the same thing happened to. Well, that was for Joe Shane.
That was for a GM job.
But did anybody else leave from there? I feel like
they had coaches leave, but I don't know were there other scouts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically.
Well, no, because they took Brandon Brown. I think you're not allowed to fill out a whole staff. You can hire a one right-hand man or something like that.
So what else was it? A takeaway. Look, this is fairly obvious, but Howie Roseman didn't try to hide it. They are going to upgrade at defensive end this offseason, or they're going to try to, or their pass rush. He said it'll be I think his quote would be a major surprise if they don't add there.
But then he said he's like, shoot, I shouldn't have said
that. Well, because no, so
I mean, what are they going to do? Not make a move?
So this class,
that'd be good. No
he was saying so.
You got 3 guys.
So this class is billed by our Dane Brugler and NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah, and other draft analysts as a really strong as a strong edge rusher class. That's the strength of this class. And so when Howie was asked about that being the strength of this class, he said he doesn't want to comment on that anymore because it's burned him before. And he once referred to a historic running back draft class when the Eagles ended up with Donnell Pumphrey. He referred to a historic defensive line draft class when the Eagles ended up with Andre Dillard, Miles Sanders, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. their top picks.
Oh,
A historic,
but also like
and in the third one here, a historic wide receiver class. I don't know if he used historic then, but that was the strength of the class, and they ended up with Jalen Reagor that year. So I think I
think just like don't remember that stuff if you're the general manager. Like just move on. Like why do you still remember that stuff?
Well, because look, in his defense,
you don't know. No one ever lets him forget. He probably goes down the street and people yell at him about it.
In his defense, there are annoying reporters on this beat who make references to like the 2000 and
talking about me.
No, I'm making fun of myself. Like the 2014 free agent safety class, right? Or if the year that they took Pumphrey.
Right.
I think I might have written a little too much about the quote unquote historic running back draft class. And look, so I get why he doesn't want to frame it that way, because you never know how the board's going to fall. But as I've written, as I've said, I seldom make bold proclamations, but they will draft a defensive end in the first round.
One thing that is very much on my radar is and it's a little bit in conjunction with having lost Cunningham and Brown, is how much Howie has spent this offseason. Like if you watch his interview with Dave Spadaro on the Eagles website, talking about like how important it is that they have this offseason to go about building the roster with the coaching staff, like knowing the scheme, knowing what kind of players they want, knowing how the guys on the roster fit. And like, that's a bit of a red flag to me. It's a concern. Like they shouldn't be building the roster just for the coaches. Like, sometimes you got to find the best players and the coaches got to coach. And it's also like, if you're just like thinking about it in a Machiavellian sense, like it's a built-in scapegoat for him to be like, my job is to get the players for the coaches and not just to get the best players. Like,
well, hence the Jalen Reagor pick.
The Jalen Reagor pick, like all we hear about, like the retroactive reason for it is that the coaches thought he was going to be a good fit in the offense. So guess what? Like maybe they shouldn't be the ones making the picks. It's just something that's like very much on my radar. And like, Jonathan, and I asked Howie about this question because with Gannon, for instance, you want to find guys for his scheme. Well, he might be a head coach next offseason. And I thought his answer on this was fair. Like that's the type of defense they want to play, is they're sort of committed to that. It's not like Gannon's scheme, but I just like, it's a thing that's on my radar, like how much he's talking about building it that way.
I think it pertains way more to the offense than the defense. I mean, the defense, I don't want to just start ripping it. There's nothing all that special or creative about the defense that you're picking specific.
Jeez, you're really
picking specific. Unless, like I said before,
I hope he doesn't run into Gannon tonight.
You can just find safeties anywhere because they're just going to be 25 yards off the line of scrimmage, yawning for half the game. So maybe that would be one thing to keep in mind. But I mean, like you need pass rushers regardless of what defense you play. You need defensive tackles. Corner, I guess it could come into, but they play more man in the second half.
Defensive tackles, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I guess I don't think it's that, but I mean, offensively, I don't know what their vision is. Is their vision to juice up
the same
the
thing
run
with Hurts,
game?
right? Like,
is their vision to juice up the run game and make it even more dynamic, or is there hope that it's actually going to evolve and maybe they won't be so run heavy next year and that the passing game will be better? That's another question.
Well, the other party line that is annoying me a little bit right now is that like we, the reporters and the people talking about this team, are the silly ones for thinking they need wide receiver help. Like, what are you talking? We got Devontae Smith. Like, Quez Watkins is a really good number 2. I mean, nobody likes Quez Watkins more than I do. But like, let's who are we kidding? Like,
seems like they like him more than
I don't think that's true. I mean,
well, you need more than 2.
I liked him first.
You need more than 2 guys. Number 1.
Yeah, like they desperately need wide receiver.
I think that's deliberate on their end. I don't think they want to create this impression that this like big receiver's coming, because they don't know how that market's going to be. They don't know. But I also disagree with this notion. And I'm not saying the Eagles have it, but I've heard it from draft analysts that like this is such a deep receiver class now that you can find starters in like the 3rd or 4th round. That's hard to do, right? Like the studs are early on if you pick them correctly. Now you can find.
Yeah, I would need to see like an analysis of it, but I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah, so I mean you really need to be good at scouting receivers, which the Eagles haven't proven to be, to think that well, we can just run it back, add someone in a middle round, and be okay. I'm not saying they're going to draft a receiver in the first round for the third year in a row, although I wouldn't rule it out because of the surplus of picks. And I do think they're going to add a veteran, but they probably don't want to create the impression that like they're shopping at the top of the market for one. Now, I was looking at Sheil's list, and we'll get to this in next week's pod or 2 weeks pods. What's the
Quackatology next week?
Quackatology next week. Okay.
The following week is actually
there are some receivers to definitely keep your eye on for the Eagles.
I mean,
but
none of us are sleeping this week anyway. Who are we kidding?
Yeah, but
I keep yawning during this podcast. I should have got a tear. Why do we do?
I should have got a water. Yeah.
Normally my yawn.
I need a water badly. Yeah. But
my lips are very chapped.
I can carry this for 10 minutes. You just want to go get some water?
No,
that would be
we
my
gotta play
preference.
through. I mean,
no, please, I insist.
I think they're over.
I gotta once I commit to a bid. I mean, it's like the Starbucks thing. I gotta finish this thing. See it through to the end.
Flexing on the Starbucks thing already.
Yeah.
I think they're overrating their group. Like you need more than 2, obviously, and
I mean,
and even and Quez isn't like a definite 2. There's projection there as well.
Sure.
So,
and guys get hurt. You can't just you're not just going to have Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert for 16 or 17 games for sure. Like let's be fair here.
But there are this is going to be fun to talk about the receivers in this draft class as well. We'll see what they do in free agency. But there are some guys that I actually think I know who both of you guys will be your first round draft crush at wide receiver.
I don't think you know me that well.
I'm just speculating.
Pull a Gil Brandt, write it down on an envelope, and then reveal it when we decide who we.
I want to be like Howie and Joe Douglas writing Derek Barnett's name at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
There you go.
How
do you guys feel about the basketball hoop?
Yeah, I was gonna say you really should have led with that. That was probably the most interesting thing.
So upgrade. So we should also explain what that is.
Stone Cold News, man.
Last year, if you remember, these were all virtual interviews, and they played a rock paper scissors shoot.
I remember.
Bo did it in person.
Now
with
you
these
call
prospects.
it rock paper scissors shoot?
Rock paper scissors?
Yeah, I mean I go RPS, but that shoot.
I say rock paper scissors, but when you do it, you do rock paper scissors.
Okay, so
the
game is rock paper scissors. Yeah. Correct. This year, to gauge a player's competitive.
Ken just give us the cut it. All right, that's it. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
really?
That's. I would say offensive.
Yeah.
That's.
All right, so
that's a felony offense.
This Yankee over here doesn't appreciate the paper rock. But they upgraded or changed to basketball on a mini hoop, and we should explain
with a Villanova logo.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't send like a quality control coach to a local sporting goods store to find one here. They packed it. They packed a basketball hoop with a Villanova logo, and it's set up. Now, Nick Sirianni did not want to say who's done the best at this because he doesn't want to reveal who they've interviewed. But Sam Howell, the North Carolina quarterback, told reporters this morning that he only made 2 of 5 shots.
Which, I mean, for a quarterback, what are we doing?
What kind of hoop is this?
I think it's one of those like Fisher-Price.
Yeah, so
like the kind of thing I have in my basement.
Those are
where like the hoop it will be at my waist level.
Well, they probably lift it all the way up to the top.
So you're shooting with a little orange ball?
I think so. I mean, I don't know for sure.
Is that your under?
It was hard to get honestly, I did have questions, but I wasn't going to burn my follow-up questions on that. I was going to kind of pack it all into one. I want to know how high they're having it, how far they're shooting from, and what ball they're using. Because, if that depends, the quality of your shot will depend on the ball.
I mean, we've been talking about, we're all very excited about this woman on the Iowa basketball team. They need to be drafting her.
I agree.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. They're not going to, she's not going to be playing in Philly.
Women's Big Ten tournament is here, but we're not going to be here for their game.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
So, and Sirianni cited the Gardner Minshew anecdote that Minshew explained when the Eagles when the Eagles acquired him. And Minshew mentioned that in the pre-draft process,
another yawn from Sheil for the audio listeners.
He visited Indianapolis, and he actually did a I don't know if it was a 3-point contest or a free throw contest with Sirianni, and it got so competitive that Minshew took off his dress shirt because he realized this thing was getting serious.
Pulled out that sword that he likes to play with.
No, he said sure.
What's the joke? Am I missing something, Will?
I think you are.
Sorry, I'm focused on this podcast. Is it?
It's good. It's good.
It's ended. I'm not going to be able to do anything.
I mean, I think that there's like this is one of those things where I'd like to have a strong take. Like I love this or I hate this, and to me, it's like it's totally fine.
Yeah,
they've got these 4 hours of interviews to get through, so it spices things up a little bit. You get like it is an icebreaker. You're trying to get a sense. You're trying to loosen them up a little bit. I mean, I think you could run the risk of like overvaluing it, like this guy versus this guy. Well, he was really into that, free throw shooting. Like, okay, calm down. But I think it's totally fine.
Well, you did your scouting at the Senior Bowl this way. What did you learn? Did you learn anything about a player's competitive spirit?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I learned about their competitive spirits, but I don't think that should be the deciding factor on where they should be drafted.
It's fine to do. It's an icebreaker. If nothing else, you show them that you're kind of a fun. You don't take it too seriously. That you're a fun spot, but it also should have no influence or bearing, in my opinion, on anything.
All right. Anything else from what we heard today, or should we take a little break?
Oh, we're gonna get to Doug after the break.
Oh, sure. Why don't we'll do break, Zach's faux interview, and then because we have to take another break after that, then we can do Doug and any other leftovers.
All right.
Okay.
We're all starting on our New Year's resolutions, right? But it's tough to keep motivated, keep the pace going once you start. And the best way to do that is when you're keeping it fresh. And that's why the Peloton Bike and Bike Plus are ringing in the new year with so much new classes, new music, new ways to keep your workouts fun and motivating. I gotta be honest, December was not a productive month for me, Peloton-wise. I gotta crank it up in January, and that's why I'm excited that they're adding all these different things. First of all, they're adding boxing. Boxing? Peloton is stepping into the ring with its newest discipline, no gloves needed. Discover a fast, furious, and fun workout with Peloton instructors who are, get this, in your corner. A good way to practice for the off chance that you might run into an unnamed commissioner of a major sports league on the street. There's also the New Artist Series music selections. Peloton is adding fun new artist series classes. Work out to the music of a single artist for an entire class, from your favorite hits to the deep cuts. And there's also, as always, more daily workout variety. It is easier to stick to your goals when you keep your workouts interesting. For a limited time, you can try the Peloton app for free for 2 months, and then it's just $12.99 a month after that. New members only. Visit onepeloton.com/app to learn more. That's 2 months free at onepeloton.com. Offers expire January 31st of 2022. Terms apply.
Well, talking.
We are back on Birds with Friends. I was watching the other thing. All right, let's play this like we're a national, and this is Radio Row. Ready? And scene. Welcome back to Birds with Friends, live from Radio Row at the NFL Scouting Combine. Bo Wolf, Sheil Kapadia. Very pleased to be joined by NFL Eagles General Manager Howie Roseman. Howie, how's this week treating you?
It's great to be back here in Indianapolis after missing last season. I got to say, I was looking forward to this show most. No disrespect to the Draft Network over there or the LA Football Network over there.
And I like it.
But this is the one that I've had circled on my calendar for 2 years now. Let's take the gloves off. Let's get at it.
Thanks for joining us, Howie. You've obviously had an amazing run as the Eagles general manager. Just 4 playoff seasons in the past 5 seasons, brought the city of Philadelphia a Super Bowl title. I know you, and I know you're 100% focused on bringing that Lombardi Trophy back to, what is it, Broad Street there in Philly? Is that Broad Street, right?
That's correct, Sheil. I need to tell you the feeling you have when you're on that bus going up Broad Street. There's nothing like that, man. And once you taste it, you do everything you can to try to get it back.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that's exactly where I'm going with this question. Now, last season, your organization puts together this unbelievable change in offensive philosophy in the middle of the season, goes with a run-heavy attack, makes the playoffs. Just an amazing job top to bottom. My question for you is that type of offense with that run game sustainable to allow you to compete for championships year in and year out going forward?
Well, that's a good question, Sheil. I wouldn't frame it as sustainable. I do think that you need to do whatever it takes to win the game on Sunday, whatever it takes. And it takes a different form every week. Some weeks you're going to run the ball. Some weeks you're going to pass the ball. But philosophically, we want to pass the ball. We want a quarterback who can get explosive plays downfield. And we believe we have one. And we believe we have the weapons to do so too. Now, it's a work in progress. You need to understand that the way it looks last season might not be the way it looks next season or the year after that. We're building here. But to answer your question succinctly, we went with what worked last year, but we are going to continue to grow and evolve as the players grow and evolve.
Well, Howie, your job, we know this. Like, your job is to be paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the league, right? So we know you like Jalen Hurts. You said up there today you like Jalen Hurts. But there's these quarterbacks out there who might be able to, like, supercharge this run for you. Russell Wilson, that guy in Houston. How much work are you doing?
Well, I have responsibility to obviously our fan base, everyone inside our building, to do everything we can to win the Super Bowl. And that's our North Star. Now, I need to be careful what I say here, but I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I can only talk about players that are on my roster. What I will admit this: when you watch the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship and you watch the Super Bowl, there's a level of quarterback play that it takes to win those games. And I believe to be standing in the end, you need one of those quarterbacks. Now, can Jalen be that guy? Look, he has all the intangibles. He has all the tools. It's going to be up to him and up to us to see if he can get there. With that said, I have a responsibility to do everything I can to field the best team, but we're not knocking on doors trying to upgrade at that position because we are intrigued by what we have. But look, I'm going to listen to everything that comes across my desk, and it would be irresponsible of me not to do so.
You see what I see over there, Sheil? Looks like an open door to me.
Well,
I think he's leaving it open. I think he's leaving it open.
Excuse me, Bo. Let me. I'm going to push back on you here. Okay, this quarterback we have. I heard this great anecdote during the scouting process when he shows up at Alabama as a freshman, and you know what he wants to do? He wants to unseat the guys who are starting there. Okay?
Oh, I thought you were going to say maybe go grab some Chick-fil-A at the student union.
Well, they have an outstanding student union there, right? Okay. Those SEC schools, they are these.
Take it easy, Alex. We don't want you to. We're not on a delay here.
Okay. These facilities, if
facilities, okay.
if you love football, man, you should see what they're building.
You should see these student unions.
Well, I'm focused on the football practices,
yeah,
but,
of course.
but you're in a rush going from practice to meeting. I read a great story you wrote, Bo. It was
again. I like the butter.
I think it was 2 years ago. You followed around one of our scouts and you showed the life of a scout. And I'm glad you did that because that really look. We're here in Indianapolis and this gets a lot of attention. But what you need to know is this work goes on year round. There are guys who they're away from their families. They are staying at roadside hotels, putting miles on rental cars, and they're doing it so we can have the edge over. Look, I see the Raiders banner over there, the Cowboys banner over there, the Giants. I don't want to use that term. The Jets.
A lot of places that haven't been lifting banners anytime recently, unlike you.
Hey, you said that, not me. But what we're trying to do is get the edge any way we can. And so I would say that I would tell Jalen this: we want to win, and if you think you're the guy who can win this, go show me, because you're gonna have that opportunity. Go show me.
we play a little game here at Birds with Friends called Turkeys to the Kingdom. Now, I know you like to play things.
I'm so touched you remember the name.
I know you like to play things close to the vest, but look at it. We were talking off air, and I said, you can say what you want here. Half the people are going to think it's legit. The other half are going to, think it's misdirection. I mean, you've been around this league a long time. So
and I know the way the Philly media works too. So
listen, give them something to talk about on Sports Talk Radio. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's do a little Turkeys to the Kingdom. You have 3 first-round picks, as everybody knows, in this year's draft. 3 scenarios. One would be that you might want to move up. Another might be that you might want to move back. And a third would be that you pick all 3 at the original spots. Give me the little ballpark estimate. Like Bo said, it's amongst friends. No one's listening. At how many turkeys you would put on each of those 3 scenarios.
Well, the great thing about having assets I'll give credit to my friend Sam Hinkie, the former general manager of the Sixers, who talked about optionality, right?
Oh, breaking news.
Sam Hinkie?
Sam Hinkie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yes. A long day. Paul was out late last night. He was at a Starbucks.
I'm not surprised.
He had 7
That was a great article. All my
yeah.
buddies are texting me that. I got to read that one, Bo.
Thank you. I wish they would subscribe.
And where were you? You don't drink coffee, Howie?
Oh no, I'm energized by football, right? So, this is a way of saying that we have the ability to move up if there's a prospect there that's a generational player, or we feel he can become one. We have the option of moving back if we have to. Look, I'll give you guys a little something here.
All right.
My obligation to the fans and to our organization is to think short-term, mid-term, long-term. And if we can build a roster this year while also replenishing future assets, that would be appealing to me. So look, if any other teams is listening, shop's open. Okay. If you want to move into the first round, look, you all have my number. I'll take it. I'll take your calls at any time. All right. And we'll find a deal that works. But if I had to give you percentages, I would say the lowest percentage is us sticking with all 3 of those picks, because
wheeling dealing.
Yeah, that's what's fun about being a GM. And this is a league where everyone has the same assets. Unfortunately, this year we have more assets than everyone else, right? So we are going to take advantage of that. Then I would say the next likely one would be moving up, because look, we're not a player away. So I'm allowed to mention these players by name, right? If we were to move up to get, one of the top DNs, and we have to give up our picks, I think the strength of the draft might be where we are. So I actually think we're in a good spot because teams are going to be calling us. And then the most likely option is us moving back or moving into next year.
Wonder if you would indulge us, Howie, and do a little word association. I've got a few names here for you. We'll just go rapid fire. Tell me what the first thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Let's do it.
Nick Sirianni.
Energy.
Jason Kelsey.
Legend.
Carson Wentz.
A first-round pick.
That's pretty good. Andy Reid.
Could have said Super Bowl champ.
Andy Reid, I owe so much to Big Red, right? So great offensive mind.
Zach Berman.
Really annoying reporter. Look, I like Zach. He works hard. He really takes an interest in team building. He's not just trying to get the clickbait, right? He's really trying to just show how we build this roster, how decisions are made, why decisions are made, and I appreciate that in a reporter.
One more for you, Topanga.
I'll tell you off air, Bo.
Gotcha.
No, yeah, I thought that was a good way to end it. I'm sure we'll be seeing you throwing them back at St. Elmo's tonight. Am I right?
No, I got meetings
cocktail
and
sauce, okay.
Cocktail sauce. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So that will clear your sinuses. That cocktail sauce at St. Elmo's.
All right. Well, Howie, thank you for joining us. Good luck this season. Hope you get the quarterback you're looking for.
There, you can't get me. I'm a veteran at this.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Back after this on Birds with Friends. with Bo Wolf and Sheil Kapadia.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Relationships take work. A lot of us will drop anything to go help someone we care about. We will go out of our way to treat other people well, but how often do we give ourselves the same treatment? This month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to take care of your most important relationship, the one you have with yourself. Whether it's hitting the gym, making time for your haircut, listening to Birds with Friends, or even trying therapy, you are your greatest asset, so invest the time and effort into yourself like you do for other people. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It is much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp online therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Birds with Friends listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/BWF. That's BetterHelp.com/BWF.
Back on Birds with Friends. Zach, good to have you back.
Great to be back.
Let's talk a little bit about Doug. And actually, we had a chat question for Sheil. He wanted you to expand a little bit on the difference between the Philly reporters and what else you see around these press conferences.
I mean, it's just very difficult to get a question in, and nobody waits. There's not a millisecond of quiet between when.
There's also like a pride within the beat corps that it's like that.
Yeah, no, I'm not
knocking
it. This is why I can go.
Bo pulled some muscle today.
I can go anywhere else and get a question in now. That's it's helped me. So yeah, there's no. Once a question has been answered, once the last word is out of Howie Roseman's mouth, 4 people are yelling for the next question. Sometimes they don't even wait until the answer is finished and they start yelling. Whereas every other press conference I was in on, the person finishes their answer, and then there might, it's not a long time, but there might be like a second, and then you can get.
There was a funny moment like that, and I think Jalen Hurts' first in-person press conference this year, because he went through the whole virtual his rookie year, and so he was like, "What is going on?" And people were just shouting over each other to get questions in.
I think he said, "That's how y'all do it, huh?"
Yeah, that's how y'all do it. Yeah, you're right. All right, well, you guys, I wasn't in on Doug. I did have a chance to see Doug at the Starbucks on his way to the press conference.
Can we read about that?
You could, but I didn't get a chance to sit in on his presser. You guys both did. What did you learn about the handsome devil?
Well, I'll give a little tease. You can read about this on The Athletic. I wrote a piece and thought it kind of summarized where Doug is here, but I will defer to our national reporter here because he has his pulse on the league.
Well, I thought there were a few really interesting things that came out of it. One is you can tell what Doug's messaging is going to be. He was asked about sort of the state of the franchise, and Bo, this was in your diary too. The negativity surrounding the Jaguars since they've won more than 6 games once in 10 years, I believe it is. And he was very much saying, like, we are going to talk about that. We're not, I'm not going to tell you that's not true. Like, I can just see him in front of the team kind of using that. Yep. Didn't you get that sense where he's just going to be like, listen, this team, this organization has been a laughingstock last year for years. We're going to turn things around. And that's really why he's the coach there, to bring that credibility, stability. So you could almost, Doug always had those talking points. What was the one after the Super Bowl?
The new normal.
The new normal, the one that backfired. Okay, so he's not bringing that back, which is good. The new normal, but I can already tell that that's going to be a big part of his messaging in Jacksonville. That was one thing that stood out. The other thing, Zach, you really had my back on this one because I asked the question. I didn't feel like I got a great answer. Bo, you're good at this too. You came back. I don't know if you meant to do this or not, but your next question got to the heart of what I was trying to ask, and that was basically in Philadelphia, Doug. You basically said you'll make a little eye contact if you want to push for a player, but other than that, you don't need to be too busy in the weeks, in March and April when draft prep is going on and when the draft is taking place. Is it different in Jacksonville? And so I tried to ask him that, and he didn't give a a great answer for it. But then Zach followed up, and I thought he basically said, yes, I want to have input, more input into personnel here. And I wonder if that's sort of, I don't want to say lesson learned, but he did it one way, and now he's saying, all right, well, this could be my last stop. I want to do it a different way.
Well, the fascinating news item to go with that, or I shouldn't say fascinating, I'm overselling it, but if you recall when Doug was hired, they were saying they were going on a search for an executive vice president of football operations, right? And Shad Khan put out a statement yesterday that they are halting that search, and his stated reason was because of what Doug Peterson's done in instilling like a culture and system inside the building. And I interpret that as like, all right, Doug sees an opening here, right? Doug sees.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Doug sees a chance to kind of. Doug's coming in with the ring, right? Doug,
he reminded everybody.
I worry about Balky, but yeah.
Dave Zangaro asked a very good question, which was, what would you do differently, right? And this is the biggest layup, right? You had a year to think what you would do differently, and Doug says, other than win another championship, right? Big flex. That's why I led the column today, because like, to me, that's what he's selling. Like, right. I don't need to come in here and change. Like, I know what it takes to win. You will do what I know how to do. This is my system.
Go ahead.
Well, I also wondered if, it seems like the initial plan, like you said, was to bring in somebody in addition to Balky. Doug's greatest strength is that he gets along with people.
Yes.
So even, if Trent Balky, and I don't, obviously things went poorly in San Francisco, and he and Jim Harbaugh had a big issues at the end, but couldn't you see Doug coming in and being like, oh, he's not bad. Like, we just went golfing,
they're with their wives.
We're with our wives. We hung out. Yeah.
Well, so literally, I asked Balky what his biggest impression of, or I guess what Doug's done to put his imprint on the team, and he talked about the optimism, and he said they joke that Doug's the optimist and Trent's the pessimist. And Trent said, "What's a pessimist?" He says he likes to think that he's a realist. But a pessimist is really a realist is really just a pessimist. And
you say that, or he said that?
He said that.
Okay.
And so he said Doug has that energy and that optimism in everything he does, and that's probably to your point.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking. I mean, it sort of sounded like he was like, all right, I can just imagine meeting where Shad Khan brings Doug in, and it's like, who do we want to bring in? Maybe that was part of the initial agreement. Hey, we're going to bring in Spielman or somebody else, and then Doug being like, it's going okay so far. Like, we don't need to rush and do that right away. And it's it's also a very interesting point in those two guys' relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Balky did build a great 49ers team. I mean, that those teams were loaded. So, I mean, it's a small sample, but there was a time where he was at least putting together a very good roster. He's not getting another shot at this. I mean, he kind of fell into this. He wasn't getting another shot, and then he just happened to be the last man standing, whether it's politics or something else. And with Doug, I mean, if this doesn't work out, it took him a while to, there was no guarantee that he was even going to get a shot this year. And so they're both at this kind of point where it's like, it's got to work out if these are the roles we want. And Doug is an easy guy to get along with. Balky might not be, and so the challenge might be more on Doug. But those were some of my takeaways as I was watching Doug answer those questions. I was kind of buying into, I'll be honest, I was kind of buying into this potentially, I'm having like a bit of a turnaround here as he was talking. Maybe that was just the old, thinking about 2017 or whatever, but you always want to be, this is good life advice. Like, you always want to be replacing the train wreck person.
Yeah. And it's very similar to when he came in following Chip. Like, it's the same
hey, now
I mean, I don't think that's fair.
You don't think that's fair?
I mean, just in terms of
I mean, obviously, no one is a bigger a-hole than Urban, but just in terms of the clash of personalities, hiring the opposite of what was here, he comes in with a fresh face and flowers. I think, he's used to this.
The first number one overall pick 2 years in a row. I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
There's nowhere to go but
so much cap space, right? Yeah, so
2 years in a row, quarterbacks in place, cap space,
bad division.
Yeah.
Any other like as you made the rounds on the national press conferences? Any other guys catch your eye? Any new potential crushes or impressions?
Kawesi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adofe Mensa. I don't want to get. I need.
I thought it was Adolfo
Mensa.
Cherry Hill.
Yeah, made an impression on me yesterday as well.
Were you there for Kawesi's press conference?
No, I was.
Okay.
I was. I think Doug was going at the same time, right? Or just finished?
Might have been. Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
I walked over after, but he was impressive. Andrew Berry is impressive. Like I kind of watched those two guys, and I'm like, all right, they're going to be running circles around some of their peers pretty soon, potentially. Brandon Bean is a very straight shooter. I think he's probably, if I had to say who I think the best GM in the league is, I think it would be Bean. I think a team like the Giants.
What's so interesting about what Bean did is he was able to completely change their entire core of offensive weapons.
I think the Giants
in 1 or 2
should just look at that as really, what they need to do. I mean, they should be shedding salary. If they want to give Daniel Jones a shot, that's fine. But then they just need to offensive line, weapons, and then kind of see where you are after that. Really, a lot of these teams that are rebuilding, I think the Bills had the best rebuilding job of the last, 10, 20 years or so. Chris Ballard is he was not pulling any punches.
No.
I mean, this was not a strategy.
The Wentz thing was very interesting.
Yeah, this was not a strategy of build up Wentz's
value.
And then
it's interesting, right? Because you would think like they went into this with a game plan, right? They knew what they were going to say. Like, do you think it was like they're trying reverse psychology, trying to like build him up or build him down so that to challenge him?
I think he's just being honest.
I think he's just an honest, authentic guy. Is his personality, and he's just like, it's all already out there. He thinks everybody's kind of, any GM can watch the film we watched, and we just have to be honest about it. I'm sure the owner, I think, there plays a large role. So, but yeah, that was very interesting. I mean, that really could happen at any time. Wentz could not be a member of the Colts by the time we finish this podcast.
But the I was about to use fascinating. I don't want to triple fascinating on this pod here. Look, the part about Wentz's future that's been out there. We've seen he was fairly honest about the uncertainty there. I was really intrigued when he was asked, I believe by our Zach Kiefer from The Athletic, what Carson needs to work on, or it was something like that. And he said that criticism, he said when criticism is fair and real, you need to listen to it. When it's not, you just brush it off because it's not legitimate. And he said, and the criticism about Carson is mostly fair. And it's gonna be really interesting. He said it's gonna be really interesting to see the way Carson deals with that. And he thinks Carson's going to do okay with that. But that would indicate, and it's the same thing you saw in Philadelphia, that this is an issue Carson has, is like dealing with criticism, dealing with things not going his way, dealing with the rigidness that he has.
I mean, I don't think I would guess that Wentz doesn't realize how close his career as a starter in the NFL might be to being over.
I think he's going to be out of the league in 2023.
Really?
Is he starting week 1 next year somewhere?
I think yes.
I think yes. And then I think that's it.
Where?
I said Tampa in my prediction.
Okay.
So I'll just stick with that.
Yeah. Tampa's good.
Denver, maybe?
Denver.
Jeez. Whew.
That's not going to work out well.
Well,
Carolina, they all go down in flames.
They better, if I'm Ballard, just keep calling Matt Rule every day.
Yeah.
You might be able to get
Pittsburgh. You think Pittsburgh would bite?
No.
It's
an interesting
terrible
experiment.
Fit,
but I don't think so.
There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But
Everybody's trying to get out of that middle ground. So we shall see.
Caitlin Clark, the Iowa basketball player, is a sophomore. Thanks to Will Bartlett for that dynamite fact check.
The Andre Dillard nugget. I thought the Andre Dillard answer by Howie was interesting.
Not limiting himself to left tackle?
Yeah, he was like, GMs, listen to this. Just because.
I think it's limiting to him. Well, maybe it's limiting to you. You're the one who make him, Mailata plays right tackle when he has to play. Give me a break.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was limiting because of Dillard. But, he was asked, about Andre Dillard, and was it asked in reference to, would you trade him, or what was that?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And how he started gassing him up, saying that, guys that can move and bend like Andre. You know, you can't find guys like that. Great offseason. And he's like, well, I don't really know. I can't talk to him. He's talking about offensive line depth, but I don't know. That sounded to me. And then he said the thing about, you can't limit him to playing left tackle. Yes, you can, because he couldn't play right tackle when you needed him to play right tackle. And when you have an injury, you put him at left tackle and you move my lot to right tackle. So yes, you can.
We all have eyes and memories.
Yeah. Like, basically what he's trying to say is that
another team should feel like that.
Yeah, that you don't just need to have an opening at left tackle to call us. You can have an opening at right tackle, and he would fit there.
Because your guy could move too. Like,
but that would not surprise. I mean, what would you take for Andre Dillard this offseason? Now, I remember last offseason I was saying I would be hesitant because that backup left tackle is important. He's still got 2 years left on his contract, but now he's in the final year of his contract. So you're talking about 1 year. What kind of compensation would you accept in an Andre Dillard trade?
Take a fourth.
Yeah,
I think that's the line for me.
Yeah,
fifth, probably not.
Fifth, because you got to wait 3 years for it at this point, but you probably get a comp pick if he signs a starting deal next offseason. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, maybe maybe not, because theoretically there'll be bigger players.
The value of having a strong.
But yeah,
backup left tackle versus the pick,
and to
he's a good backup left tackle.
Yeah, I think so.
But you mentioned in your free agency top 150, that young left tackles get paid, right? So if you're in the market, instead of paying someone $12 million a year, if you can give a middle round pick and get a guy, if you think he can be a starter for you,
but then you're gonna have to pay him too after a year if he's
right. But that's.
Yeah, you could get him for this year. If he's great, you could tag. If he's great, yet as I hate, when coach said, but that is a good problem to have. If he plays great, then you just, you can pay him or you can tag him or whatever. But Orlando Brown was entering the final year of his deal last year, and he still got good compensation. Now he's been a great player, but so
okay.
All right.
Any other sights and sounds from Indy, or we cut it off and come back tomorrow?
Yes.
Do we have guests tomorrow?
Hope so. I haven't talked to anybody, but we'll try to wrangle some people.
Didn't you talk to someone the other night?
I talked to Solak, but I haven't followed up yet.
Okay. And how about
trying to get Tony Paulini?
How about the star from last year?
He's around in the pen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Les Snead is invited on the podcast.
He might take out. I think he'd come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's put it out there. You're the national guy. Send him a text.
No.
Any other leftover wedding takes that you wanted to get? Have we gotten further discussion from Emily about the recessional?
Will she ever talk to us again?
Yeah, she's so.
You can always just place that on Bo, by the way.
She insists that we were just following the people in front of us, right? Like,
I think that is fair.
I believe that.
So you gotta, you're still doing the Howie thing. You got to find a good scapegoat. That's good.
That's literally what I will.
Part of the deal.
First off, I will always defend Emily. So look.
Oh, they're gonna say
no, not Emily. The other people on the aisle.
Okay, no, but if there's anyone who messed up, it was me, not Emily. Okay, let's let the record.
Keep your pants on and don't fall on the sword. Trying to pull that back.
I know that's right. He'd love to, and he does this in actual conversations. Like there'll be a reference, and then the conversation's ending, and he tries to make this isn't
the kicker.
Sitcom.
That's how you have a conversation.
That is not. No.
That's how every Seinfeld episode ends, right?
That's what he tries to do.
Yeah, they hold a hole in one, right?
It's not like that's just how my mind works. It's
a brilliant mind.
No.
Well, that's definitely up for debate. I had a few tears during the evening.
Okay, well, what were they like Mike Sandow?
No, not like TEARs.
Oh, okay, all right.
Why did I emphasize the E but anyway, it's during the ceremony, during the
what during the ceremony got you?
Talking about Marissa's grandmother.
Okay,
that got me a little bit.
A good one, yeah.
There was one. I think maybe during Marissa's vows that got me, if I remember correctly. I remember there were two slight ones during the ceremony and two during the reception.
The reception? Okay. Yeah, there was one in
reception. Yeah.
I remember one.
Her sister, when the maid of honor speech, she was getting choked up. She's getting choked up. I'm going to get choked up. I mean, let's be fair. And then I forget what the other one was. But yeah. But I was surprised at that I didn't cry more. I'm usually a big wedding crier. So just having such a good time. I
just want Marissa to know, listening from Hawaii, out of sight but not out of mind. We've been talking you up.
I mean, there is a real problem if they made it to the end of this podcast. On their
like
honeymoon.
anybody,
Yeah.
not just Marissa, I would
Yeah.
say. All right.
Okay.
What are the commenters saying? I don't have it in front of me.
Not a lot. They're asking
Okay.
for pictures of Fran Duffy's thigh. So hopefully we can get that as well.
Okay.
We got fascinating listeners.
That'd be good.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Back tomorrow at some point. Not sure exactly when yet, but we'll figure that out. So for Sheil, Zach, Will, Kent, Marissa, Michael, and Elijah, I'm Bo. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Howie Roseman for joining us. And as always, we love you.